Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoded, the place where we spill the tea on corporate filings, and honestly sometimes it is more like a lukewarm cup of business water. But today might be a little juicier because we're looking at Mercedes. Benz is set up for a big financial move. Ever wonder how those sweet car leases actually get funded and packaged up for investors? This filing is like a behind-the-scenes peek at the engine under the hood of a major auto financing trust. We're diving into the official paperwork that sets up Mercedes, Benz Auto Lease Trust 2026. Alright, so let's get straight to it. This document tells us that on the 21st of January 2026, things were getting officially kicked off for the Mercedes. Benz Auto Lease Trust 2026. I think of this as the birth certificate for a new financial product designed to help fund all those fancy Mercedes leases. This number, 2,096,965, is basically the unique identification code for this specific trust. It helps the Securities and Exchange Commission, or CSC, keep track of all the different financial entities out there. Then we have Mercedes, Benz Trust Leasing LLC, which is acting as the depositor. They are the ones helping to put together the assets that will back the notes being issued. It is like they are gathering all the car lease contracts to create a package. And of course the big player behind it all, Mercedes. Benz Financial Services USA LLC is the sponsor. They are essentially the parent company that originates the car loans and leases that will eventually become part of this trust. Now this filing gives us the principal executive officers of Mercedes, Benz Financial Services USA LLC. It is in Farmington Hills, Michigan. This is where a lot of the coordination for these financial operations happens. And if you really needed to call them about this specific filing, well, the number is there, but honestly folks, we are here to decode this stuff, not to make phone calls. This next part, item 8.01, is where things get interesting for us. This section usually covers important events that happen that aren't neatly categorized elsewhere, and in this case it directly relates to the creation of the asset-backed notes, which they call the notes by this new trust, the issuer. So the main event here is the issuance of these asset-backed notes. What does that mean in plain English? It means they are selling financial promises to investors. These promises are backed by a pool of assets, specifically, you guessed it, Mercedes-Benz car leases. Investors essentially buy these notes and in return they get paid back from the money coming in from those car leases. It is a way for Mercedes-Benz to get cash up front to continue making new loans and leases. Now let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this kind of filing, the exhibits. This is where all the contractual agreements that make this whole thing work are listed. This is the nitty-gritty plumbing of the financial transaction. First up is the indenture. This is a super important legal contract between the issuer, the trust, and US Bank acting as the indenture trustee. The trustee's job is to make sure that both the issuer and the note holders are treated fairly according to the terms of the agreement. They oversee the collateral, the car leases, and ensure that payments are distributed correctly. Then we have the amended and restated trust agreement. This document outlines the structure and governance of the trust itself, detailing the roles of Mercedes, Benz Trust Leasing, and here Wilmington Trust as the owner-trustee. The owner-trustee represents the interests of the trust. This is a bit of a mouthful, the 2026 Exchange Note Supplement. It connects the titling trust, which actually holds the car titles to us bank, as the administrative agent, and Mercedes, Benz Financial Services USA LLC, as the lender and servicer. It essentially details how the loans are facilitated and managed within this structure. Here we have the first tier sale agreement. This is where Mercedes-Benz Financial Services USA LLC sells a bunch of its auto lease receivables. Those are the actual lease contracts to Mercedes, Benz Trust Leasing. This is the first step in moving those assets into the trust structure. Following that is the second tier sale agreement. Now Mercedes, Benz Trust Leasing sells those same lease receivables that it just bought to the issuer, the actual trust that will issue the notes. This is how the assets officially become part of the trust to back the securities. The 2026 A Servicing Supplement is all about how the leases will be managed day to day. MBF's USA is continuing to act as the servicer, meaning they will collect payments from the car lessees, handle any issues, and generally manage the performance of those leases. This Asset Representations Review Agreement introduces an independent party, Clayton Fixed Income Services LLC. Their job is to review the assets the car leases to make sure they meet certain standards and representations. This adds a layer of assurance for investors that the underlying collateral is sound. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of how the money flows. The 2026 A Collateral Account Control Agreement is about the bank accounts where all the money from the lease payments will be held and controlled. US Bank plays a key role here as the securities intermediary managing these accounts. Similarly, the Titling Trust Account Control Agreement sets up the rules for the bank accounts associated with the titling trust. These agreements are crucial for ensuring the orderly collection and distribution of funds to the note holders. Lastly, the 2026 administration agreement clarifies the roles of the issuer MBF's USA as administrator and the indenture trustee in managing the overall operational aspects of the trust. And finally, we have the signatures that make it all official. Stephen C. Poling as Assistant Secretary for Mercedes-Benz Trust Leasing LLC signs off on this report on the 21st of January 2026, confirming that all this has been duly authorized. So what does all this mean for Mercedes-Benz? It is a standard and essential way to fund their vast leasing operations. They are essentially securitizing their lease portfolio, meaning they are bundling up those future lease payments into securities that investors can buy. This frees up capital for them, allowing them to issue more loans and leases to customers. For investors, these asset-backed notes can offer a relatively stable stream of income backed by predictable cash flows from car payments. However, like any investment, there are risks. If a large number of lessees default on their payments, the investors could lose money. The quality of the underlying leases, the creditworthiness of the lessees, and the overall economic environment are all factors that influence the success of these trusts. In essence, this is a highly structured financial transaction designed to manage risk and provide funding for the automotive giant. It shows a sophisticated financial engine working behind the scenes to keep the wheels of commerce turning. What do you think about this type of financial engineering? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. And don't forget to join our Discord community linked in the description for more exclusive content and discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Decode.